Welcome to the Building Things with Machine Learning podcast. I'm Yao Ho. In every episode, I interview people who are building really interesting products using machine learning. This week, I'm excited to have Yihua Liao of Netskope join. Yihua is the head of data science at Netskope, which is a leader in cybersecurity. Welcome, Yihua.
Thank you. Thank you, Yashan. It's great. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Before we get into the ML side of things, would you just help our audience understand what Netskope does? Like, when does somebody run into it, and what does it kind of do?
Sure. So Netskope is a cybersecurity company headquartered in the San Francisco Bay Area. It provides cloud security and malware protection, threat protection to mid to large size enterprise companies as well as government offices. The way we provide cloud security to our customers is by at a very high level is by routing our customers corporate network traffic through our own data centers around the world. This uh, uh, gives us very unique visibility into the corporate data movement as well as the users cloud and website usage behavior. So it has enabled us to do many interesting things. For example, scanning files for sensitive information, which is something that nowadays many companies care about. As they move their data to the cloud, and also we scan files for malware. Make sure that um, the employees are sending not sending malicious malware to other people,
Mhm.
either within the company or outside the company. And also, we look for phishing websites or other malicious websites and help them identify malicious insiders. And nowadays, that's also a
Mm,
uh, very big thing.
yeah.
A threat for many companies. So, and and we use a lot of machine learning models to do in almost all those use cases. So
So it sounds like one of the big innovations of Netscope was what you said, that it routes all the traffic through your data center. And so
mhm.
then it gives you kind of a fire hose of high quality data that you can analyze as opposed to an older cybersecurity technique. Is that basically right?
Yes, exactly. The traditional security tools and solutions are based on basically, based on the physical parameter, right? You have companies used to pay a lot of money to buy physical hardware like a firewall hardware, but nowadays, the sort of the physical parameter doesn't exist anymore. So everything has
Mm.
been moved to the cloud. So and which really requires really the next generation cloud native, cloud based solution security solutions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It makes sense. And obviously, as ML people, when we hear that there's a new source of data, we think, great, now we actually have clean data and a large amount of it to throw at machine learning models. So let's dive into the ML side of things. I know there are examples you can cite from both computer vision and natural language processing. Could you start off by telling us some of the kind of novel functionalities that you've added by applying computer vision?
Sure. So as I mentioned earlier, we scan uh, files or scan corporate data for sensitive information, right?
Mhm.
And companies want to make sure that their customers' data, especially PII or PCI, PHI, those basically the sensitive personal private information is not reviewed or leaked to outside of the corporate world. So
Mhm.
um, so we would scan files for like for example we would scan images for sensitive information. When I say sensitive information, it could be um, passport images, driver's
Mhm.
license images. As you can imagine, if you work at a healthcare company, you probably have lots of patients,
Mhm.
IDs and health insurance cards, SSN cards, and so on. Right? We want to make sure that that kind of sensitive information won't be leaked. As
Hmm.
an email attachment and so
Hmm.
on. Right? So we've developed computer vision models to identify those special, sensitive information. So um, to be more give you a concrete example. So let's say a user is trying to download a file from the corporate Google Drive, and
Hmm.
we would scan that file, that image file, and to make sure that, hey, is this a passport? Is this a
Hmm.
credit card? Or is
Hmm.
this a driver's license, and so on. So a very so if you have some machine learning background, you will know that this is a typical image classification problem, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, this is one of the main use cases we have, computer vision use cases that we have here in Netscope.
Yeah. And then, assuming you have a perfectly trained classification model, what is the kind of final action that your software takes if it does detect like a driver's license or a passport?
Yeah, great question. So we provide Netscope, provides the intelligence to our customers,
Hmm.
and then it's up to our customer, typically the CISO teams, the security and administrators, up to them to decide what actions they want to take. It could
Hmm.
be block, could be
Hmm.
block the data movement on the spot. It could be that they want to give the employee a warning message, say, hey, this may be
Hmm.
sensitive information.
Hmm.
Are you sure you want to share this file to somebody else? So yeah, it's really up to our customers' security team to decide what actions they want to take.
Got it.
And
Got it. So
also,
you provide the intelligence. It's
that's
up to
right.
them to act and decide how to
That's
act
right.
on it.
Yeah, and also some companies care about, say, a passport and driver's license, and some companies like banking industry companies, so financial services companies, they may care about more about bank statements or credit card
Mm-hmm.
and so on. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but we provide
Got it.
the intelligence from our machine learning models.
What were some of the challenges in getting some of those models off the ground? What's so hard at the end of the day of building a classifier for driver's licenses or passports?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is high quality label data, right?
Mm-hmm.
To build a classification model, you typically you need a lot of training data. Even if you do transfer learning, you still need some very high quality data. So this was one of the main challenges we've had. I think thanks to you guys, Masterful AI, you helped us to generate some of the synthetic data like credit card images and so on. That really helped us develop our one of the early versions of our computer vision classification model, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and also there are other challenges such as our customers care about precision, care about they don't
Mm-hmm.
want to see too many false positives. As you can imagine,
Mm-hmm.
if their employees gets the warning message or a lot of false positive uh, alerts every day, it could be very very annoying. So we want to make sure that
Mm-hmm.
our models have really high precision, and and also the latency performance is really critical for us because we make the decision in real time. We help our customers make decision in real time. So that
Mm-hmm.
means our model needs to generate the prediction typically within less than 50 milliseconds, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that by itself can be a pretty big challenge, right? To make sure that
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
have really good infrastructure to support to allow us to run computer vision models in real time. So
Interesting. Interesting. Well, that's such a cool application. And one of the things I noticed was the use of recall and precision. I mean, we often, learn about that in the context of, drug or like disease positivity, and then we kind of forget about it. But in
Yeah.
this case, that's so interesting that a high recall but low precision might trigger, lots of false positives and then just annoys users. And the CISO just turns the feature off
That's
because everybody's
right.
complaining. So you have to be very
That's
careful about tuning your recall and precision
yeah.
so that
That's
uh,
right.
even
That's
if you
right.
have a few false negatives,
Yeah.
you don't annoy people with a bunch of false positives. That's a
Yeah.
cool application. How about on the NLP side? I know one of the cool things about your group is that you're applying not just CV but NLP and tabular. Would you like to tell us about one of your NLP applications?
Yeah, we use a lot of NLP models to there are multiple NLP use cases. The first one is the for again for identifying sensitive information, sensitive documents. Um,
Mm-hmm.
for example, some companies may care about the intellectual property
Mm-hmm.
document, like a patent
Mm-hmm.
documents, right? Or some companies may care about the tax forms or financial documents,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we've used some of the latest NLP language models to train document classification models to identify things like mm, patent documents, uh, tax forms, resumes,
Mm-hmm.
and so on. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Then our customers can decide, which documents that they may want to block
Mm-hmm.
or to give their employees some kind of warning message and so on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is one. Another NLP use case is phishing website
Hmm.
detection. Um, and this is actually a very interesting problem. To um, when someone is trying to visit a website, we need to decide, in real time whether the website is malicious or not. Right? You want to provide
Mm-hmm.
protection to our customers, and how do you identify a phishing website based on its content in real time? This is a very very challenging problem. So
Mm-hmm.
far we've explored looking at the content, the text content of the website, as well as
Mm-hmm.
the sort of the image components of the website as well, right? So um, so yeah, these are just some examples of NLP use
Yeah,
cases, but there are
that's
definitely a
cool.
lot more.
On the NLP side, are you using some of the large language models that have come out recently, the BERTs and GPT
We've
threes?
certainly explored them. Some of
Mm-hmm.
them turned out to be very very helpful, but some of them are just too big.
Yeah.
Too it takes a lot of computing resources, so we cannot put them in for real time processing yet. But we're using some of
Mm-hmm.
them for offline batch processing. So
Offline,
yeah,
yeah, gotcha. I used to think, ResNet 50 or 152 was a big model, and then those language models
I
come out, and
know.
I'm like,
Yeah,
is it going to cost you $5 of GPU time just to infer, one example? It's
right.
the expense and the size are just so astronomical.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're trying to really to optimize some of the large enterprise the language models, trying to make them smaller, using quantization
Hmm.
or distillation, those techniques to
Hmm.
make those language models smaller so that we can use them in our production environment.
Yeah, yeah, interesting challenge. It's so much more relevant on the large language model side than the computer vision side.
Right.
Well, cool. Well, thanks for sharing some of those, uses of machine learning in your cybersecurity product. Maybe if we could just turn a little bit to your background, how did you get into machine learning to begin with?
Yeah. So I actually started machine learning in my graduate school. This was way back. Uh, I was like early 2000, back when the AI was still not a hot field
Hmm.
yet.
Mm-mm.
I was
Nope.
just interested in the math, part of aspect of AI. So I was naturally drawn to this AI and machine learning field. Yeah, I
Mhm.
did. I studied machine learning and computer security at UC Davis, and that was
Mhm.
my PhD research. And after that,
Amazing.
yeah,
So you're in the perfect job now. You
I
did
know,
research
I
in both
know. Yeah,
security and machine
that's
learning.
right. That's right. Yeah, this feels like going back to my root. So after spending some of the
Amazing.
many years working at Microsoft, Facebook, Uber, and also at one point I even started my own startup. Although that didn't pan
Mhm.
out, but was still a great learning experience.
You've been in machine learning so from the early 2000s. How have you seen, the space evolve? And obviously I'm a little bit deep learning centric, so that's how I kind of view the world of, Alex in 2012. But maybe with you might be able to provide a broader perspective on how the field has evolved.
Right. I think in the early days, I would say my first job was at a um, financial service company. This was oh my god, this makes me sound very old. I worked at a company, a startup called ID Analytics, and they
Hmm.
were helping credit card companies to process credit card applications, right? Using
Hmm.
building machine learning classification models to decide whether this particular credit card application should be approved or not, right? And
Hmm.
I think back then, not many industries were using machine learning, to make this kind of decision. For one, they didn't have a lot of data, or they were not capturing a lot
Hmm.
of data, right? And financial service industries, they were definitely one of the early industries, early adopters. And then I
Hmm.
think the internet service companies, the online service companies like Facebook and Microsoft, they had a lot of data, right? And they were able to hire
Hmm.
people like me to, you know, to
Hmm.
um, to help them, help them make intelligent decisions. To
Hmm.
For me, because I started security, I always had a special interest in sort of fighting against bad guys, bad actors using machine learning.
Hmm.
So I worked on payment fraud detection, fake
Hmm.
accounts, and
Hmm.
ads, low quality accounts and ads at Facebook and Microsoft. Um, so we had a lot of data, and also the good infrastructure as well. Um,
Hmm.
but now I definitely think more and more companies are trying to adopt machine learning and AI as well, right? And not just
Hmm.
the high tech companies, and not just cybersecurity, and also many other, like including agriculture. They're trying to use
Hmm.
machine learning to solve some of their problems. I definitely think uh, it is becoming more and more ubiquitous, in terms of the
Hmm.
ML use cases.
Well, listen, Yuhua, thank you so much for coming on and sharing, how ML is applied in cybersecurity. It's kind of really obvious what makes Netskope kind of a modern cybersecurity suite. Between its kind of unique approach of routing traffic through your own proprietary data centers, and then having that fire hose of data to be able to do much more powerful analytics to make sure all the cybersecurity rules are being followed. So thanks so much for sharing that with
Sure.
us. And where can we find you and Netscope personally or corporate on social media?
Sure. So I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
I often post some of our blog posts as well as patents,
Mhm.
our most recent patents there, and you can um, follow me there, or send me a LinkedIn message. And also, if you want to learn more about Netscope, you can go to our website and check out some of
Mhm.
the white papers and so on.
Cool. And that's
That's correct.
Netskope, right?
Yes. All
Awesome.
right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Yihua. And I want to thank the audience for checking out this episode with Yihua. If you enjoy this podcast, please give us a rating on Apple iTunes or Google Podcasts. It helps others find us. Until next time, thanks and goodbye.